who is to blame for the Yankees' loss in the World Series? Is it Aaron Judge? Is it Aaron Boone? Is it Garrett Cole? Well, my answer is D, all the above. They all had a hand in this. And when you look at successful teams in any sport, they do the little things. That is what makes the Los Angeles Dodgers so good. Yes, I know they spent a bunch of money on free agents, they made some key trades. I understand that. But when a bunt needs to get down, the Dodgers get the bunt down. When a defensive play needs to be made, they make the play. When they need to hit a sacrifice fly and just, play for the team instead of their own individual statistics, they do that as well. The Yankees, not the same. You could tell the relative inexperience from the Yankees not being on that stage before in that series against the Dodgers. Talent wise, I mean, it's pretty even across the board. But when you look at the way the Dodgers played, they grinded out at bats and they did all of the little things. Go back to the late 90s, why the Yankees were so good, the last real dynasty in the major leagues. It wasn't that they spent way more money than everybody else and they went out and got all the big free agents and their payroll was just hundreds of millions of dollars above everybody else and they just dominated because of that. No, they played the game the right way. They had a strong bullpen, they had strong starters, they had guys that could play defense, they ran the bases well, they got down bunts when you needed them to, and they grinded out at bats. It didn't matter if it was the guy at the leadoff spot or the guy in the 9 hole. The Yankees just don't have that right now. They don't. They're going to be able to bludgeon some of these weaker teams. They're going to be able to get back into games off of one swing of the bat because they have incredible power. But when you play a team like the Dodgers, you need to be able to do the little things. The details are so important. The margins are so fine. And you get exposed if you don't do the little things. And you saw an example of this in the Cleveland series, the only game that the Guardians won. Jose Trevino hits an RBI single. He gets picked off of first base. Cleveland won that game. Now, that was just one game. The Yankees were better the entire series. But when you look at the Dodgers, they kept their foot on the gas the entire time. And when you look at any of the successful baseball teams, for any, kind of long period of time, they're all built the same way. They all do the same thing come October. That's why the same teams are kind of in there year in, year out. Mentioned the Yankees in the late 90s. I think the best team in the last 10 or 15 years has probably been the Houston Astros. But look at their team. Great starting pitching, really good in the bullpen. And whether it was Altuve or Correa or Pena or Bregman or Alvarez or Tucker, like all of these guys, Gurriel, like George Springer, every single one of those guys grinded out at bats. It was not easy at all. It wasn't just, all right, here's 3 pitches. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. It didn't matter. That's not the way it goes. And the Dodgers were able to expose the Yankees in this series. You want to blame Aaron Boone for some of the decisions that he made, going to the bullpen maybe a little bit too early in game one? That's fair. I think you look at Aaron Judge and his inability to do anything early on in this series was the death knell. Not only was he not producing, but when you can go up against a guy that is one of the best players in the game and consistently shut him down, it boosts the morale of the opposition. The Dodgers felt so good about themselves because it didn't matter. I'm not saying they took them lightly, but it didn't matter early on in that season, early on in that series, who was on the mound because they knew how to pitch to Judge and they knew he wasn't going to do anything. You go to game 5. Came up big there offensively, yes, but defensively dropping that fly ball, a lack of focus. Volpe makes the error as well. And then Garrett Cole, who pitched a hell of a game in both of the games that he pitched in the World Series, just that minor lapse in judgment. And this is different. This is where people are missing out on the entire play. People are acting like Garrett Cole he fell asleep. It wasn't a case of him falling asleep. It was a case of miscommunication. That's where everybody's missing the boat here. Like, oh, it's standard PFP. It wasn't standard PFP to the point of he threw the pitch and then he just watched. He went over there. His instinct was to go over there. But he got about halfway and then he looked at Rizzo and it was a miscommunication. And he thought that Rizzo was going to field the ball and take it to the bag himself. And he didn't. He pulled up. Rizzo assumed that Cole was going to continue to the bag and to be able to make that play. You both have to be aware of that situation with Mookie Betts. You both have to converge on the bag. and then let your communication take over. They both let their guard down and they opened the door. And when that door was opened, the Los Angeles Dodgers kicked that son of a bitch in. The rest is history.